Hi, and welcome back to another weekly horoscope. Where do you have Capricorn in your chart? Because that is going to be a major player for the next couple weeks, as we have a pretty big conjunction between the Sun, Mars, and Venus all moving through Capricorn. And this week, Mercury will enter Capricorn as well. So there's a lot going on in that area of your life, wherever you have that sign in your chart. We also have a full moon in Cancer happening this week on Saturday, right after the new year. Happy 2026 also to everybody. If you haven't seen already, there's lipstick on my teeth. And if you haven't seen already, I posted a few weeks ago my 2026 update and gave horoscopes for every rising sign. So go check that out if you haven't. Really excited for this year ahead. Although January overall feels very forward moving, the energy has definitely shifted and lifted compared to the last 2 weeks. Right now, it's so much different, and that will continue this week and as we head into the new year. But like I said, while January feels very forward moving and January feels very activating as a whole, we really don't feel like the brunt of the new year or things really fully moving forward at warp speed until we get to the lunar new year, which happens to be the same day as the new moon eclipse in Aquarius we have. And then we'll have a Saturn Neptune conjunction 3 days after that. I talked about this in the 2026 video more in depth. But there's a lot going on like February, March of 2026. So that's really when things start to ramp up. Although we are getting a foreshadowing of that energy now, there's just still a little bit of cleanup happening. We've done a lot of the work, so to speak, on whatever is being brought up for us to heal at this time with the Jupiter Chiron square we've had since the end of October. I feel like I talk about this in every video, but it's just such a big deal. We haven't had it since the last time that Jupiter was in a cardinal sign that wasn't Aries, which was 2019 and 2020, I believe. Yeah, because that's when Chiron went into Aries. I talk about this in one of my recent other YouTube videos talking about the transits, but this is a big deal and it's happening for a long time because both Chiron, while it's in Aries, and Jupiter move a little bit more slowly. We are experiencing this for a little bit until February, like I said. And so we're really still in that energy, although it's lessening, it's shifting, and it's lifting. uh and it's not as intense or as deep or as kind of like sticky as it used to feel. We're still experiencing it, right? And although we're coming out of the fog of it, it is still kind of there in the background. And the overall message and energy is just to really shift into the new, to really just put your foot down into the new life and the new chapter that you want. And that's really what this week is going to be about, is like, well, okay, what other foundations, what other systems, what other routines or practices or whatever do I need to implement and embody in my day-to-day life in order to have the new beginning and to have the new chapter that I want and fully step into it with no like up or down, no seesaw anymore, just forward movement into the new life that I have been building for quite some time. That is the energy. We've all been building some sort of dream, some sort of new chapter for ourselves over the last 2 to 3 years, especially in a really deep transformation. And this is the week where we really start to see how far we've come and how much work we've done to step into the new and to step into what we want, as opposed to repeating the patterns of the past that really weren't ours to repeat to begin with. So a lot of that is climaxing this week as we'll get into the horoscopes and we'll see how it's going to show up for you on an individual level. And as always, those of you that have taken my courses, especially my Become an Astrologer course, know that this deeply depends on what is going on in your chart, as always, for how specifically this is going to show up for you on a personal level. But in general, that is the energy for this week. And we can really just thank everything that's going on for that. And the full moon in Cancer is going to be an intense one in that regard as well. Could be quite an emotional weekend around the time of the full moon. So that is what we have to look forward to this week. Although, like I said, the energy is majorly shifting and we're not approaching the issues or the challenges the same way that we would have in the past. And so that is shifting the energy. That is shifting how we experience the things that are happening around us. So is there anything else I want to say about this week? New Year's Eve, people were saying I saw some people saying that New Year's Eve was like a crazy energy. It kind of is, just because we have the moon in Gemini and it's going to be harmonizing with Pluto. That could be a really chaotic energy, but it also just feels like we're stepping out of the old things we used to do because everybody said they were fun or because everybody wanted to do them or whatever. We were like all kind of having this mass consciousness for a long time with Pluto and Capricorn. It was very much this mass consciousness of like, oh, well, this person posted on Instagram that it's cool and they were doing it. So, like, I'm going to spend thousands of dollars and go and do that thing, whatever, just because they said so. Or I saw it on their Instagram and it looked cool or whatever that we're really stepping away from, especially as we get into January. We're really stepping more than ever into our sense of individuality and doing things because we want to do them, not because like that's what everybody's done or everybody's going to a New Year's Eve party. So that's what I want to do. And it's like, no, what do you actually want to do? What is best for you and where you are in your journey and your evolution and your soul's path? Like, what is best for you as an individual, not necessarily what you're seeing from everybody else. And I myself, this past week or two, have stepped a lot back from social media. We're going to start to see that as well, so that people can really embrace their individualism, because social media kind of perpetuated the mass consciousness of everybody doing and liking and whatever the same things. And that we're really stepping away from, especially moving forward as a collective with Pluto and Aquarius, is really about individualism, and individuals shining for their uniqueness. Like, we're stepping away from the herd mentality, the mass, like worshiping these dozen people or whatever. We're really stepping away from that and stepping more into individuality. And like more niches as well, like people being more niche than ever, and people really blowing up in their own niche. So, yeah, we're gonna start to see that as well, and especially with these holidays, it's like we're not, nobody really wants to do them the way we've done them anymore. It's like, what actually works for you? What do you actually want to do around this time? What is best for you at this time? And more so doing it from a place of, this is what I want. This is what's best for me. This is what is nourishing and supportive for me. Jupiter is in Cancer after all, where we have this full moon. So it's really a time of focusing on what actually do you want for yourself in your life, and to do around these kind of ritualistic time periods, for lack of another word, instead of what everybody else has done just because that's how it's always been done. Does that make sense? So that's what we're stepping into as well, especially this week. So yeah, that's what I have for y'all for the overview. Let's get into the horoscopes. And there's dust on my, so much dust in this house. It's dusty. Okay, anyways, Aries Rising. We start your week off with the moon in Taurus in your area of money. So there's a big focus at the start of the week on what changes do you want to make to your long-term goals and visions that are related to money, maybe how you want to support yourself better or differently than you have been, or structure your money differently. This could be something happening in your career to support this or to encourage this. As well. Although there could be some fogginess around maybe like some health things, or maybe your dreams have been really weird and you wake up feeling like, oh, wow, is that what I believe about myself? Or is that what I believe about life? And it's kind of making you question a lot about how you viewed the world around you, how you viewed yourself. So it's also propelling you into a lot of self healing this week. And there will be a kind of wrapping up of that cycle this week as well, maybe especially like Monday, Wednesday, as we get into the new year. It's kind of divine that these transits of the new year all kind of leading us up to this great change and embodiment of something new that we've been building for quite some time. As we get into Wednesday, the moon moves into your area of day-to-day errands, of communication, of belief systems. So again, you could be really looking at yourself from the place of like, do I want to keep living this way? Do I want to keep doing this? Do I want to stay at this job? Do I want to stay doing that or doing this or whatever it is? And it's you're really at reevaluating and maybe even making some changes that you've wanted to, now that you have a little bit more clarity on them. But again, they could bring up some mindset stuff or some belief system stuff of like, oh, well, if I do this, like following my intuition, if I do this, is am I going to be able to make it? Am I going to be able to, like, I was always told that the starving artist and like you can't make money doing what you love and all this kind of stuff may be brought up as well, for you to really face and leave behind, leave in the past for good. New Year's Day kind of feels like it's not super eventful. We are going to have some challenging things happening again between like your perspective of life, your belief systems, that may put tension on your day to day. But then as we get into Friday and we build up for this full moon we have in your area of home, which there could be some illumination of what changes you want to make in your career that are related to home or vice versa. Maybe you're wanting to move to change careers or, start a business out of your home or something like that. It feels like it kind of culminates over this weekend with this full moon that we have. And there's maybe something that you'll really want to take action on, maybe share your ideas around as it relates to this, as Mercury is now in your area of career. So you might be sharing ideas or having conversations about this career thing that you want to do and you want to step into, that maybe is different from what you have done before. And it feels like there's some illumination you get with the full moon on Saturday around what that is. And maybe like something comes in around it or you get clarity around it in some way to take action on it. And again, there's a lot of identity healing that's happening from this too, a lot of healing within your sense of self, your appearance, how you view yourself, how you think about yourself and your life, on the internal and the external. And then as we get into Sunday, it feels like this big moment of maybe an emotional transformation related to that. Something maybe happens that doesn't feel super comfortable, but it propels you into the change that you need. And maybe there's a creative boost of inspiration from whatever that is, from whatever tension this is that's causing in your life. Like maybe you really, as we get into the week of the 5th, really start to like act and implement on everything you've gotten clarity on, this upcoming week. So that is your week ahead, Aries. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Taurus Rising. We start your week off with a little bit of an emotional renewal as it relates to your sense of self. Maybe that also is money stuff coming up, maybe some further embodiment things about the changes you've been experiencing to your sense of self, to your appearance, identity, that may also be challenging or conflicting with some type of change you want to make in your career. So there could be some just conflict and challenges between those two areas of your life, between you and what's going on in your career. Maybe some image related stuff on Monday. Then as we get into Tuesday, there could be some friction and challenges between, having a conversation, a deeper, vulnerable conversation you need to have, and also like your long-term goals and visions. Maybe there's this new vision that's emerged or this new way you want to go about something long-term for yourself, but you have to have a really kind of vulnerable conversation, that doesn't feel super comfortable, and it maybe be at odds with what you want to do or what you want to change. So there's this kind of feeling of, oh, how do I navigate this? And again, it's really just sticking to your guns and really choosing yourself and choosing what you know is best for you. I feel like that's really specific. So let me know how this resonates and how it shows up for you, Taurus. There could be, because of that, a lot of shifts that take place as well in your belief system and in your perspective of life and how you view the world around you from that as well. Like maybe you are scared to have this vulnerable conversation, but it actually ends up going way better than you could have anticipated, and helps you to maybe realize that you have been and are supported all along. And it's just about viewing life that way all the time. As we get into Wednesday, it feels like there could be a positive shift between that, what was coming up earlier in the week, and what's going on with your money that you want to change, what's going on related to that with career that you want to change and transform. It feels like there's a lot of kind of positive momentum, and it's just perfect timing. I really feel like this New Year's Eve is a catapult for a lot of us into this new thing that we've wanted to maybe do all year, and it just wasn't working out. And as we step into the new calendar year, like it really feels the momentum is there and the energy is building, more so than it has for ever before, we could say. But also on Thursday, New Year's Day, it feels like there's maybe something that comes back up around that conversation you had to have, or maybe something that comes through in a dream where you're like, "Oh, I didn't realize like this is how I viewed that," or something, something about that is kind of feels challenging or conflicting, and maybe you have to revisit some stuff. Um, yeah, let me know how that shows up specifically for you, because it doesn't feel super clear. This is Neptune energy, which it's kind of foggy. It might just be, just wait to have another conversation if you need to, as because later on Thursday and into Friday, Mercury is going to move into Capricorn, and that's kind of a much better time to have a grounded, practical conversation around whatever this is. On Friday, though, the moon also moves into Cancer, and we're ramping up for the full moon we have in Cancer in your area of communication, day to day errands. There might be something you're really implementing, integrating around your routine that really allows you to have better self care for yourself, maybe related to the changes that have been taking place, in your sense of self, your identity, your appearance, all kind of tied into this as well. But on Friday too, there could be like this push and pull between a conversation you need to have, or ideas you want to share, or something related to that, and your emotional needs. So it's really important to kind of balance, like, don't have a really, really intense conversation if your cup isn't filled up, right? So the energy is really fill up your own cup. What do you need to do to take care of yourself to be able to kind of come at things from a whole place. Then as we get into Saturday, we have the full moon in your area of communication. There could be some things, some illumination of things, that you're realizing you want to change about how you communicate yourself, or where you go, how you express yourself, where you go on a daily basis, who you talk to, what you do in your day to day. There could be some changes that you realize you want to make there, and then maybe an emotional release around that on Saturday. Maybe there's some sort of unconscious wound or past life thing that's brought up. Maybe like you had a dream about something, and I don't know, it kind of wakes you wake up feeling like you need to clear something emotionally because of that, or there's a lot of strong emotions from the dream. That feels like that could be a possibility over the weekend. But as we get into Sunday, the energy really shifts in a major way, and the moon moves into your area of home. So there's an emotional focus on your home, on your family. There could be something about that puts tension on a change you realized you want to make or have been making in your career, and that's been kind of ramping up this past week. But again, it's like, what do you need to emotionally fill your own cup before you go out into the world and share yourself? And that is going to continue to be a theme as we end out this week. So that is your week ahead, Taurus. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Gemini Rising. We start your week off with the moon in your area of subconscious. Challenging changes that are happening to your perspective of life, or to your belief system. So there could be a lot that maybe is brought up on Monday that's challenging an old paradigm, that's challenging an old version of yourself. There could be a lot of things you're really realizing, this week, about your vulnerability or intimacy, or deeper aspects of yourself you're becoming more aware of. Especially as we get into Tuesday, it feels like that could come through a relationship, or that could come through someone in your career, somebody at your job, or somebody you work with, or somebody you just have a conversation with in passing. Could maybe feel really challenging to what's going on in your career, the changes you're wanting to make there. Like maybe you share something and it's taken the wrong way, and that feels really challenging. But again, it kind of brings up these inner beliefs, in you about that thing, or about like maybe not being seen, or not being heard, or not being understood. And so it's kind of like pressing you to look at these deeper things within yourself, to just love on and choose what the opposite is of that you actually want to be and embody. As we get into Wednesday, New Year's Eve, we have a harmonizing aspect with the moon that's now in your area of you. So there could be this feeling on Wednesday, you dealt with the deep shadow, whatever came up, and there's this big sense of an emotional renewal. There's this big sense of feeling renewed in your sense of self and you, but also that affecting positively your perspective of life. There could be like just all of a sudden something clicks and you have this new perspective on life. All of a sudden you have this newfound clarity towards how you're viewing the world around you. So that could be something that really comes to a head on New Year's Eve. Like I've been saying this in all the horoscopes, it's really serendipitous, the energy we have leading up to this holiday. But there could also be some things Wednesday into Thursday that feel kind of foggy or feel kind of unclear about your career and where you're wanting to move forward with that. Like there's something maybe you're wrapping up there, and there's a conversation you have maybe that feels challenging as it relates to that, or relates to gaining clarity. It's like, okay, I feel less clear now, or I feel like, and it's really like, what is that saying? Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. It's kind of like just sit and meditate on things and don't force anything right away. I said this in my overview. Like this is really the energy of taking steps as we're led to, and not forcing anything before it's actually the right time to be acting on whatever this is. As we get into Friday, the Mercury, the Mercury, the moon and Mercury are doing some things in your areas of money. So there could be some conversation you need to have, or something emotionally in your money or finances, or maybe resources, possessions, even that kind of puts tension on what's going on with your vulnerability and intimacy. So it could be like you really needing to clear out certain things, but you have to have a conversation with who you live with in order to do it. Like something like that. It's kind of like, there's tension between your possessions and other people's possessions that you kind of have to deal with or are taking care of, or in some way. But it also kind of that could show up in terms of your vulnerability or your intimacy, and again, like that inner part of you that wants to be seen and understood. And maybe there's triggers or there's wounds around feeling that way, feeling understood in what you're doing, and feeling seen for what you want to do. But a lot of this is just clearing out energetic and physical gunk that you can't take with you into the new year. Well, you don't want to take with you into the new year. None of us do. Hopefully, because that's what all we've been faced with these last few months. And then as we get into Saturday, we have the full moon in your area of money. There could be an illumination around that, around what you need to do or what you want to do moving forward, to really feel nurtured and really feel supported with what changes or new direction you're stepping into as it relates to your image and your career, maybe what you're doing on a daily basis for work, all of the change that you've been making. It's kind of like now it culminates. And it also comes back to, how are you really nurturing and supporting yourself in the ways that you need so that you feel expanded in this new life and in this new beginning. There could be something also that externalizes about a long-term vision or a community that you've been stepping into or wanting to be more of a part of, that's also helping you to heal these wounds, as well. As we get into Sunday, the moon moves into your area of day to day, of communication. There could be this epiphany that happens and this aha moment between your belief systems and all that's been going on and the changes you've been making to your inner world, and how you're externalizing those in a way that is really going to benefit you and help you to make these changes and step forward in a way, that feels aligned for you, that ultimately feels aligned for you, because it feels like there's a lot of things you've been holding on to for safety or for security or whatever, and they didn't feel aligned. And so in letting them go, or in choosing to see like, oh, this actually isn't benefiting me, um it's the change around it is scary, but it is ultimately gonna be better for you in the long run. So you might get the big epiphany around that towards the end of this week. And that is your week ahead, Gemini. Let me know how that resonates with you, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Cancer Rising. We start your week off with the moon in your area of community and friendships, also long term goals, long term visions. This is actually really good energy for the week of New Year's Eve and as we head into the new calendar year. But it does feel like on Monday, there's something around like this emotional pull towards focusing on your long term goals and visions. There's something about that challenges your vulnerability or challenges your investments, taxes, debt, anything like that. Maybe that's related to this. Like you get a bill and you're like, okay, no more of this. Like I'm really actually prioritizing taking care of my finances in the new year. And there's this big emotional drive towards whatever kind of feels challenging in those two areas on Monday, and maybe to really do it differently as we head into the new year and really stick to it in ways that you haven't before or have put off maybe before. As we get into Tuesday, there's some kind of challenging conversation you maybe have to have in your work or in your kind of day-to-day routine or something like that. And maybe it challenges a belief system, it challenges how you view life. And some kind of dream you have been building with your perspective or with your maybe higher education, long-term goals. Again, it's all of this kind of change that's culminating right now. There's some difficult conversation you might have to have that really challenges you or challenges this area of your life, challenges you to look outside of your own perspective and maybe see things differently on Tuesday. It could also feel like, okay, well, now that I've had this conversation or whatever it is, things feel super unclear. And I've been getting this message for a lot of people. It's like, just kind of let it sit, right? Don't expect yourself to have all the answers right now, to act on things spontaneously. Like really sit with things and wait until the timing is right to act, to move forward. Do kind of what's right in front of you at the moment. Don't force anything that feels like, feel it out. And if something is frustrating, if something's not working, it's probably just take a step back for a little bit until it feels more flow. It feels more in flow. As we get into Wednesday, there could be some big inner shifts that occur as we have the moon harmonizing with Pluto. There could be this big emotional epiphany you get on Wednesday about whatever that was that felt really challenging earlier in the week, and maybe it's still challenging you in different ways. There might be something you have to be really vulnerable about, or really have a deep conversation that feels uncomfortable or feels intense. But you could get clarity around how to go about it, or maybe what is in you around it, what inner mindset or subconscious belief or childhood thing that is kind of affecting you in ways that make it feel more intense or uncomfortable than it needs to be. As we get into Thursday, the Mercury moves into your area of relationships. So, kind of that feels like the energy shifts a little bit, and there's more so an opportunity for you on Thursday to maybe have this conversation later on Thursday or maybe even Friday, to have the conversation you might need to have with somebody in your life. There's a lot of focus now as we head into January on your relationships and on the other people in your life. So, but also don't lose yourself for other people. Is a big message as well. And then as we get into Friday, we have the moon moving into your first house. It feels like there's a sense of emotional renewal. There's a sense of, okay, actually, I've realized what I need to do about this situation, or who I need to talk to, or what I need to say, or whatever it is, like how to approach it. And that feels like a very, very big energy as well of Saturday, the full moon that we have in your area of you, Cancer. Like this is about you, your identity, your appearance, your sense of self, what you really need in order to feel nurtured and supported in those things, in who you are and how you present yourself to the world, and how that ripples out into every other area of your life. So there's a lot of illumination, a lot of focus on you at the time of this full moon, and on what you need to feel expanded in terms of your support and your nurturance. And maybe that challenges something about a career, or challenges something about your public image or your reputation, as maybe all of that is changing or healing in some way, and you're maybe getting clarity around how to step forward with that in a new way. As we get into Sunday, it feels like there's tension towards an emotional transformation with your money. Maybe what came up earlier in the week around vulnerability or debt, taxes, take it as it resonates or applies. That feels like there's by the end of the week a big transformation around that and maybe feeling a lot more light, feeling a lot more joyful about whatever the situation is that earlier in the week felt really challenging. So that's your week ahead, Cancer. Let me know how that resonates with you, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Leo Rising. We start your week off with the moon in your area of career. So there could be something you're really wanting to do or take action on. You're really emotionally focused on your career at the start of the week or your image, your reputation, but it could challenge a relationship in some way or some way that your relationships are transforming. Maybe that's your community, maybe that's who you surround yourself with, maybe that's an actual partnership or a marriage. How it resonates with you is going to depend on your life, but there is some sort of transformation that's happening with your relationships in general. And on Monday, it feels really challenging to an emotional pull towards your career or reputation. But it also feels like the major energy is on your work at the start of the week. And especially as we head into January, because there's so much in Capricorn going on in your area of work and day-to-day routine, like there's a lot of focus there and on really building some solid foundation for yourself in that area of your life. On Tuesday, it could feel you might have to have a conversation with somebody actually that feels really challenging. Maybe it's one person that this is showing up with or several people. Maybe it's related to dating or romance. It could also apply to what's going on with your creative passions. You might have to have some hard, vulnerable conversation around that with somebody. Um, so you can really step into what you're aligning with as it relates to maybe money or creative passions or entrepreneurship, mediumship, intuition, debt, taxes as well. Maybe there's something new that you're wanting to step into or invest in, and you have to maybe have a difficult conversation around that. But it does feel like it's gonna you're gonna come out better for it on the other side, even if it is uncomfortable and really kind of triggers some maybe old belief systems or some old wounds within yourself to further look at and heal. As we get into Wednesday, it feels like there's a big kind of emotional epiphany that happens between what's changing about your life and your community. I feel like a lot of this is friendships are changing for you. There could be someone new that you meet on Wednesday that is kind of like, oh, I'm so glad I like really removed myself from those people that didn't align with me anymore, and I'm choosing to step into this new crowd or this new community or whatever because it feels a lot more supportive for you, even if it is difficult to kind of branch out and into the unknown where you don't know anyone. It does feel more beneficial for you. This could also apply to your long-term goals and visions, getting more clarity around those and what to do. Um, like I've been saying in every horoscope, it feels like it's perfect New Year's Eve energy. It's like we're really getting a lot of epiphanies around what we want to change and what we want to act on to be able to make the changes we need and are realizing we need and want to make. As we get into Thursday, it feels like there's some sort of maybe mental fogginess, also, maybe some messages coming through dreams about what we're doing, what you want to move forward with, what you want to change about dating or romance or creative passions in general. But I do feel like, where there's frustration, there's potential for evolution, there's potential for growth, right? So there might be something that you're realizing you need or want to do differently because whatever it was that you were doing was frustrating you and not working. So through that, you find a better solution. As we get into Friday, the moon moves into your area of subconscious. There could be something that is brought to your awareness about your physical or your mental health. And that's where we're going to have this full moon in Cancer as well as in your area of mental health, Leo. So there's a big focus on that. What do you need to support yourself, to support your mental health in ways that feel good for you, that feel nurturing, that feel supportive, that feel like kind of being your own parent in a lot of ways or being your own mother in a lot of ways, and what do you need to give yourself that feeling, or what actual practices do you need, what support systems do you need, what foundations or routines or practices do you need to have that energy in your life. And then as we end out the week, Saturday, there could be some illumination around that, like I said, as well with the full moon we have there. And then as we get into Sunday, there's this emotional renewal that happens. There's this feeling or sense of clarity between you and your relationships, and maybe what felt like a really big challenge there all week. It's like you just kind of let it go and let it play out, and it resulted in this clarity. Um, it almost feels like it took care of itself. And all you had to do is really just focus back and put your energy back on you and what you want, what you need, instead of giving it away if you had been to somebody else in your life or some other situation. It could be as well. It's like you took back your power. And the situation resolved itself. So that's how the weekend's out. Let me know how that resonates with you, Leo, in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Virgo Rising. We start your week off with the moon in your area of perspective, challenging what's going on in your work. So, there might be a lot of changes that are happening in your work or maybe in your physical health as well. Really kind of calling for you or challenging you to evolve your mindset and to look at things differently. Maybe there had been something that you're resisting looking at or facing around something because of some belief system or how you viewed it or were viewing it. And there's something that happens on Monday that's like you can't ignore it. And you really have to see it differently. This could positively affect your creative passions or inspiration as well, or maybe something that's going on with your dating or your romance. But it does feel more specifically tied to creative passions or projects, like you're really building something major in that area of your life. And there is emotional support towards maybe taking some action on it, or just having a perspective that's going to help you to build it at the start of the week. As we get into Tuesday, Mercury is challenging what's going on in your area of relationships. So there could be maybe some challenging conversation you have to have related to home or family with a relationship, whether that's romantic or just somebody in your life. It feels like there's this conversation you need to have that's a little uncomfortable, and you might not know how to go about it. You might get some kind of messages in your dreams, or when you're in the moment, you might just like speak, and it's as if you're like channeling what you need to say to resolve it. That sounds so weird to say out loud, but that's like what I'm getting around it is it might not feel like super clear in your head how to go about it, but when the timing's right and it just happens, you'll see that you didn't even have to really think about it too much at all. There could be some revelation around that on Tuesday. As we get into Wednesday, New Year's Eve, the moon moves into your area of career. So there's an emotional focus on what's going on in your career, maybe who you're talking to, what you're doing, what ideas you're sharing, or creating. And there's some positive momentum towards that and what's going on in your work or with physical health. If you've been feeling kind of down in the dumps or anything like that, or actually physically sick, this is when things could shift, and you could get this renewed inspiration towards what you're creating, what you're building, and what you're maybe doing and wanting to be known as, your reputation, and to the like through your career, what you want to be known as, who you want to be known for, your reputation and your public image. As we get into Thursday, Mercury moves into your area of creative passions. So there is again more. It feels like the momentum builds all week towards what you're creating, what you're wanting to do. Whereas you started out the week feeling a little challenged or frustrated. It feels like as we get further into the week, things really start to move forward in big ways, and you get all the kind of clarity you need, or we're seeking about what to do. That could, though, on Thursday or early on Friday, challenge something about a relationship in some way. There could be somebody you have to deal with that's just not fun, or feels really challenging. It might feels kind of also like manipulative energy or something like that, but you've learned boundaries over these past 2 to 3 years. Like, you can handle it. Just speak your truth. As we get into Friday, we have the moon moving into Cancer, building up for the full moon we have in your area of community, long term goals, and visions. That will be taking place on Saturday. So there could be a lot of illumination around what you want to do moving forward in your life that actually feels really nurturing and supportive for you. Whereas before, as an example, if you were just doing I feel like that was confirmation. I hit my laptop. If you were just doing something to make money from it because it's what you've always done, it's like, okay, but does it actually nurture you? Does it actually support you? Do you feel good doing it? It's really focusing on the energy of it versus like the physical parts of it. And you're going to get a lot of clarity as we end out the week around that. And we have this full moon. There might be some big emotional release around that as well, especially on Saturday. Maybe some moment that really pulls you to be emotionally vulnerable, either with somebody or with yourself, and get really clear on what changes you want to make moving forward that you've really come to realizations around as the week progresses. And then on Sunday it feels like there's further emotional clarity and illumination, big transformation um in your mindset, and maybe also in your physical kind of work or health in some way, how you're implementing, how you're acting on these things that you've realized moving forward, and how you want to embody these changes to actually see them in your life in ways that are going to benefit you. So that's your week ahead, Virgo. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Libra Rising. We start your week off with the moon in your area of vulnerability and intimacy, also of debt, taxes, inheritances, other people's money or resources, also your strongest intuition. So there might be something you really get emotionally clear about as it relates to any of those things, but it could also challenge a change or transformation that's happening within your creative projects, your passions, or dating, romance, however it applies. It could really call for you to get kind of vulnerable, but it could feel really challenging at the same time. Although it is going to positively benefit something that's happening in your home, maybe something that's really started to move forward with your home or your family in some way, and some foundations or roots that you're building or changing about your physical house, or what's going on in your sense of home or family. As we get into Tuesday, there's some challenges between a conversation maybe that you need to have and with maybe somebody in your work, or something that's going on in your day to day. Maybe this is your health. Maybe you have to have a really real conversation with yourself about your health or something like that. But it could also just be with somebody in your life that you have to work with, or somebody that you have to interact with on a daily basis. Pick your battles with this, because it also could feel like there's this aspect of manipulation or gaslighting from the person or whatever. So it kind of feels like if it's not going to be worth your energy to actually, confront or set boundaries or whatever, to just do it energetically, do it underneath the surface. Because if the person can't meet you where you need them to meet you or where you are, then it's almost kind of not worth the effort. There could be some realization that you have around that as well later on Tuesday about it. Maybe you did try to confront it and it didn't go as like you'd hoped. Yeah, there's something around that you get clarity after the fact. Um, and then as we get into Wednesday, this is just I feel like such good New Year's Eve energy, because there's really this positive emotional shift that happens with your perspective, with the changes you're wanting to make. There's an emotional boost on the transformation that you're in, and it feels very positive. It feels very like there's a lot of forward momentum. The energy is there, the clarity is there. There might be some things that still aren't clear, but you feel better about them than you have previously, and it's almost like you're trusting, and you're putting a lot of you're investing a lot in faith and trust in the time in this time, and in the divine timing and in the process than you ever have before. And it's like it really shifts your perspective of life and helps you to see things differently in a way that's going to benefit you. As we get into Thursday, Mercury moves into your area of home. So there could be a lot more communication with what's going on about the changes in your home or with family. There could be a lot more conversations, or wanting to act on things within your home, or share ideas or information, have conversations about it in order to like make everything go smoothly or go as planned. But also on Thursday and into Friday, early on Friday, it feels like there's maybe something emotionally challenging about your perspective of life that is is being challenged by whatever came out maybe earlier in the week around your work or around your health in some way. It feels like it really challenges you to look at life differently and to shift your perspective to one that's more positive, and going to benefit you when things like this ultimately happen moving forward. As we get into Friday, the moon moves into your area of career. So there's a lot of focus on your career, maybe balancing that with something that's going on in your home, maybe all the momentum you've been making or changing about your home or family. It's like, okay, how is this affecting my career? How do I want it to affect my career? How can I kind of balance these two areas? Maybe structure things differently within your home or within family in order to have time for what you want to do in your career and ways you want to expand there. Um, there's a lot of emotional focus on your career, especially as that's where we're going to have the full moon on Saturday. There could be a lot of illumination or a lot of clarity you get about something in your work or how you want to be known to the world, and again, what's really going to nurture you, what's really going to feel supportive for you moving forward, not only in your physical home, but also whenever you leave your home and what you're building as your reputation and being known to as in the world. There could be a lot of clarity around that as well that comes through on later on Saturday, and maybe some healing that happens in a relationship or with somebody in your life around that as well. And as we get into Sunday, it feels like there's this emotional focus that is put on your long-term goals and your visions and really on what changes you want to make that are going to positively benefit you and maybe how to balance everything in a way that suits you, not maybe that doesn't look like traditional balance but is what you need in order to have what you're building, and to move forward in the ways that you want. So that is your week ahead, Libra. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Scorpio Rising. We start your week off with the moon in your area of relationship. So, at the start of the week, there is a big focus on other people in your life. This could be a romantic relationship. This could be an ex. This could be your husband. This could be anyone in your life. This could be a coworker. Especially maybe somebody who has been triggering you, or there's been changes you're wanting to make with this person or with this group of people in general. There could be something really challenging about that on Tuesday that maybe is directly conflicting with your living situation or home or family in some way. But I do feel like it positively impacts your communication or where you're going, who you're talking to on a daily basis. Like it feels like maybe it also really calls for you to set boundaries in ways that you've been holding back from, or speak your truth in ways that you have needed to do with this person or with these people or in the situation, whatever it is. So it's like it's challenging in the moment, but ultimately you see how it's benefiting you long term. There's also some things Monday and Tuesday challenging happening between what's going on with your creative passions and money. Maybe there's this need to really put yourself out there in a really authentic way that is different than how you have before. That's kind of, pushes you to get out of your comfort zone and think outside of the box when it comes to whatever you're creating or whatever direction you've been stepping into, with trusting your intuition more to guide you to the passions and creations that are right for you to act on. As we get into Wednesday, there could be a big emotional transformation that happens within a relationship or within your inner world. It could be, really needing to get vulnerable with something or somebody in your life in order to move forward and make the changes you want to make and step into this new beginning that has been building for you for quite some time. It's like you can't hold yourself back from it anymore. Like maybe you have wanted to or have been actually holding yourself back from making these changes or transformations, and it's like you just can't anymore. It's not going to go well if you try to if you try to hold yourself back from it any longer. It's like bursting at the seams to be freed. Um, let's see, that was Wednesday and into Thursday. As we get into Friday, there could be something really challenging happening between whatever was brought up earlier in the week that required you to get really vulnerable, and maybe what's going on with dating or romance or creative passions again, like what you've been building with that area of your life with dating or romance or passions. It could also be children, but I feel like for most of you, it's really what are you creating and what is inspiring you to build or to do or to share with the world. And there might be a lot this week that's really challenging you to do it and to share it and to put it out there and to stop holding yourself back from it. And especially as we get into Friday and Mercury moves into your area of communication, it's like time to share your ideas. I mean, that's where all of this Capricorn energy that's happening for you is taking place, is in your area of sharing ideas and sharing information, and starting to build a foundation of it and put yourself out there in ways that maybe you have resisted, like I said. Big theme of this full moon for you as well on Saturday that we have in your area of perspective. There's this need to really see things differently and to step outside of your comfort zone in order to do that. There could be a emotional release that happens related to that. If you've been changing jobs, like maybe your old or what the job you want to leave, maybe there's coworkers there that have been really triggering you and it's like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. um, there's some big emotional pull and change that you feel to make around the time of this full moon that is related to everything that has been building this whole time and you've just been maybe holding back from it or waiting for the right time. It does feel like there's a divine timing aspect to this, and this as we end out this week, the divine timing is like occurring for you, especially on Sunday as the moon moves into your area of career. And adds tension to the change that's happening in your home. It's like now it's like a make or break moment as we end out the week on Sunday. So that is your week ahead, Scorpio. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Sagittarius Rising. We start your week off with the moon in your area of work, of day to day routine, of physical health. So, there might be something you're really focused on there. There could be something about that on Monday that challenges maybe how you're sharing yourself or sharing ideas or information with the world, maybe how you're communicating. Could affect a belief system as well. Something about your health or your work could really challenge you to look at a belief system differently. You're like your inner communication. There's a lot of focus on your money, especially this week and later on Monday. There could be something positive that happens between your work and your money, and whatever new direction you're headed with money or foundations that you're building in your resources and really feeling supported. As we get into Tuesday, it feels like there's some challenges happening between you, maybe communicating yourself from a new place, a new identity, a new sense of self, and what's going on with your home. There could be something, or family, there could be something that's really challenging between those two areas and really calling for you to not repeat the communications or the ideas or the belief systems of the past, but really step into the new in a lot of ways that have been building. But it's like there's a full embodiment integration of that new energy this week, and with these things that are taking place in these areas for you. As we get into Wednesday, the moon moves into your seventh house. You could be really focused on relationships, maybe spending time on New Year's Eve with somebody new or around new people, putting yourself in new communities. It feels like there's a need for you to really switch up where you're going, who you're talking to on a daily basis. And there's a lot of support towards making that change on Wednesday. As we get into the new year, on Thursday, there's some challenges again between you, how you express yourself, and maybe what's going on with your home or with family or inner sense of that. Could also be childhood stuff. Maybe you're getting messages through dreams or through your intuition. There could be something as well, like some just manipulation maybe happening through a family member or somebody that feels like family to you. And it's really, again, prompting you to communicate from this new place, and not repeat the patterns of the past. Maybe if you were, kind of letting people take advantage or walk all over you or whatever it is, it's like, no, you can't do that anymore. You really have to speak your truth. And not care how people are gonna take it because it doesn't even reflect you at all anyways. People's reactions are a reflection of them, and so there's a lot of integration towards, like, really seeing that, being shown that fully as we end out this week and really step into 2026. On Friday, we have the moon moving into your area of vulnerability. That's where we're gonna have the full moon. Mercury is now in your area of money and resources, so there could be a lot of things you're wanting to do or share about resources or money. Um, or maybe it's also could be some new thing that you're sharing around intuition or a new system or practices that are going to help people that's making you money. In more beneficial ways that feel more supportive towards you and who you're actually helping and supporting. It's like the support goes both ways. It's more supportive for you and the people that you're serving or helping with what you're doing. And that's really the major energy of the full moon for you that we have on Saturday is maybe an illumination around that of sharing these things, or maybe needing to get really vulnerable or whatever it is in terms of that. There could be some emotional release related to that as well, maybe later on Saturday or into Sunday, and then fully in Sunday as we get into Sunday there's a big transformation that happens within your communication. It's like the old you is like releases and you really step into this new way of viewing life, this new way of communicating yourself and your ideas and sharing information. And it feels a lot more aligned and embodied and yeah, integrated. So that is the week ahead for you, Sagittarius. Let me know how it shows up and how it resonates in the comments. And I'll see you next week. Bye. Hi, Capricorn Rising. We start your week off with the moon in your area of creativity, also your area of romance and dating. And it feels like there's some challenges between that and what's going on with money or what you're wanting to change about your resources, your possessions, maybe food as well. But it also is being brought up so that you're supported in making the changes that are happening or you've been wanting to make to yourself, to your sense of identity, maybe your appearance. There's a lot of things about you at this time that are getting a major focus, and that's rippling out to every other area of your life. There could also be a big focus at the start of the week, especially Tuesday, that is brought up maybe through challenges or through conflicts and has you kind of looking at your inner world or inner belief system in ways that you had maybe not been aware of before. There could be a conversation you have with somebody or somewhere you go that kind of brings this up in you, to really look at more deeply what's going on underneath the surface so that you make changes to your foundation. So there's this. Does that make sense? It's there's you make the changes to your foundation so it affects everything else positively. And your inner world is a really big focus of this week, especially, and it could really be challenged through where you have to go on a daily basis or who you have to talk to on a daily basis. Um, and it feels like there's a lot of chaos, chaotic maybe change or revelations related to that on early on Wednesday, but, as we get later into Wednesday, the moon shifts into your area of work, so there's a lot more focus on, like, "Okay, I've been made aware of what's going on underneath the surface, and I've made changes. Now, what do I wanna do in my external? What do I wanna change about my routine or my structure or my practices to take better care of my health, or what do I want to change about work to have more money coming in? Like it's like you change the energetics, and now what practical actions are you going to take from those energetic changes? Does that make sense? So then as we get into Thursday, it's kind of about implementing all of those things. But there could still be a sense of fogginess or spaciness. There could also be messages coming through dreams around all of this, maybe prompting for bigger emotional clearing, as well, related to childhood or home, family dynamics, things like that, old relationship patterns or dynamics, maybe as well. As we get into Friday, the Mercury moves into your area of you. So there's this mental renewal that happens. There's a fog that lifts in your mindset, maybe a lot of mental clarity that comes in. It's also on Friday, the moon moves into your area of relationships. So there could be a lot of support that comes through somebody in your life or several people in your life that kind of help you to feel this mental renewal and feel like you're more supported and moving forward with these changes that you're wanting to make. The full moon for you, Capricorn, is going to be in your area of relationships as well. So there could be a lot that's going on there, feeling more supported with the people around you, or really kind of weeding out those types of people or types of relationships that don't feel supportive so you can have more of the ones that do and create space for those to come in if you feel like there are some spaces that need to be filled towards having more supportive people in your life. As we get into Sunday, the moon moves into your area of vulnerability, also of other people's resources, debt, investments, taxes. There could be some big revelation you get around money and changes you've been wanting to make there. There could be something that really comes through around an investment or a loan or something that you've needed to make changes you want to make to what you're doing. It feels like that clarity could come by the end of the week. So that is your week ahead, Capricorn. Let me know how it resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Hi, Aquarius Rising. We start your week off with the moon in your area of home and family. So there could be something that's brought up emotionally in that area of your life that really challenges a transformation of yourself that you're in. Maybe happening to like really everything in your life is going through a big transformation, and it starts with you. It starts with what's shifting about you. There could also be something Monday and into Tuesday that is challenging your community, your friendships, maybe social media, and what's going on with your money. Maybe a new direction you've been stepping into with money or what you do for money. Could also be food or possessions, resources in some way. They feel really challenged by what's going on with your community or what's going on with your long-term goals and visions that you're maybe wanting to change. Um, and it's kind of like, okay, I don't have the all the answers or the full picture. Like, how do I still go about this? And there's a lot of downtime happening for you right now. And this is kind of to be expected. The first part of January is so much as moving through your area of the subconscious. There's a big focus on your inner world and on kind of re-examining these subconscious and energetic things going on underneath the surface affecting you and creating everything above the surface. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of that that's coming up this week as we head into this new year. But on Wednesday, there is some harmony that happens, maybe between a creative passion or project, maybe somebody you're dating, and you. It feels like there's this emotional support that comes in through that area of your life to support the transformation that is happening to you, to your sense of self, and to your identity. There could be some big release on Thursday around that, especially as we're gearing up for this full moon that we'll have on Saturday. On Friday, there's a big focus, more more of a focus on your inner world. There might be of something Thursday into Friday that you got clarity around as it relates to that. Um, Maybe there's some wound brought up with somebody in your life, maybe through work or through your maybe where you go or who you talk to on a daily basis. It feels like there's something brought up that you're like, damn, okay, this was the missing piece of the puzzle, and the rest of the week is really about integrating it, um, and kind of putting pen to paper, like putting it into action on what you need to do or what you want to change to feel more supported in your life moving forward with work, with money, with how you're changing, what you want to change about yourself. It's like really implementing a system or a structure in order to have these changes stick and really not feel less chaotic about them and about making them. It's like, okay, what is your plan? What are you going to do? There could be a lot of clarity you get around that on Saturday with the full moon, like I said. And it could come through maybe an unexpected person. It could come through work or what you maybe do for work or to take care of your health in some way. It could maybe come through unexpectedly. And it might even come through like a trigger or a wound, but it does feel like that clears the emotion that was maybe behind that trigger or wound. So you see it more clearly of like, oh, this actually helped me. And then as we get into Sunday, the moon moves into your area of relationships, and there is a kind of big shift, a big change, and it might come through somebody in your life really helping you to see things differently, like I said, and to be supported in making the transformations you want to make to your sense of self and feel more cohesive with all of it and feel like you're moving forward on a solid foundation. So that is your week ahead, Aquarius. Let me know how it resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Pisces Rising. We start your week off with the moon in your area of communication, of sharing ideas, of where you go and who you talk to on a daily basis. There could be something about that emotionally that you're focused on, maybe making changes to. It could also challenge something about what's going on in your mental health or your inner world in general, and needing to really make an inner transformation, maybe an energetic transformation, so that you're making changes to your life underneath the surface and that they will ripple out. Like it's like the work of Joe Dispenza. It's like neuroscience, right? Making these inner world changes to your belief system, to your inner structure, like your energetics, your frequency, in order to experience the changes on the external, because it happens with energy first, right? Like the law of attraction or manifestation principles, they always say, like, you have to feel the thing before you get the thing, right? And that's maybe there's something around that that really is triggering you to kind of bring awareness around on Monday, and also maybe something happening in your career that's challenging that as well, and kind of triggering you to look at these things more deeply and look at these things more holistically, to really clean up whatever in your energy isn't kind of aligned with what you want moving forward. Especially as we get into Tuesday, there could be some maybe challenging conversation you have to have with a coworker or somebody in your career, your public image, or something like that, that really challenges the you that you've been stepping into, the sense of self, your identity that has been changing and maturing. It kind of really challenges you to fully step into that at the start of the week. And then as we get into Wednesday, there is some sort of positive momentum towards what's going on in your home or with family. Maybe that change to your sharing of yourself, your communication, impacted this in a positive way, and that might create some kind of ripple effect of breakthroughs with what you're doing or what you're wanting to do moving forward. There could be a lot more creative inspiration coming through middle to the end of the week, because of what's going on. And it could come through home or family or a relationship in some way. Maybe it comes through meditation or a dream or something like that. But it's like it kind of comes outside of you and mirrors to you the answers you have been waiting to receive. As we get into Thursday, there could be something, maybe again challenging, that happens between what's going on in your career, your reputation, and what's going on with you. There could be some manipulation at play, or maybe not being able to see things clearly or communicate things clearly. And it's kind of like, just wait for the right timing. Don't force this before it is the right time to act. As we get into Friday, the moon moves into your area of creativity, of romance and dating as well. It's where we're going to have the full moon for you, is in your area of creative passions. So there could be a lot of focus there, and a lot more that's being illuminated about how to move forward with your goals and visions in a way that's aligned with you. Um, there could be a lot of clarity you receive, kind of like breadcrumbs of clarity this whole week are coming about your community, your long-term goals and visions, maybe social media, and how that ties into your creative passions and what you're choosing to share. And maybe with this full moon, really feel like a culmination around, and feel like, okay, this is what I was waiting for. This is the energy, their inspiration, or whatever that I was waiting for. And it feels a lot more supportive, towards what you want to do and how you're moving forward than maybe it has in the past. So there's a lot of expansion around that, although it might trigger something about money or resources in some way as well, for you to really shift, like I said, energetically, in order to have a different experience or relationship with in the actual physical world. As we get into Sunday, there could be a positive shift that kind of is like a catalyst that happens with your work or within your career, or your day to day, maybe physical and mental health. This big kind of the momentum has been building all week, and it feels like it culminates on Sunday, where there's this big shift of energy, and maybe just feeling a lot more light and a lot more playful and a lot more joyful for what is coming, and moving forward with everything, than you have felt for weeks, or maybe even months, or maybe even all year. So that is your week ahead, Pisces. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Bye.